Hi, from the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic at Old Westbury Golf and Country Club, this is Sports Bash Spotlight. Sports Bash brought to you by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. Visit them at martylyonsfoundation.org. By the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By Falcone Law Firm, if you need to speak to an attorney, call them at 631-6074-LAW. That's 631-607-4529. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to a special live edition of Sports Bash and Sports Bash Spotlight. I'm Peter Schwartz, joined by Vinny Tickets. We are here at a great event, the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic, here at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. We're going to talk to a lot of guests. Marty Lyons will stop by as well. Good to have you with me here again tonight.
Great to be here, Peter. A great event with a great cause, and everything that they do is always spectacular.
We are already going to have our first two guests are going to be coming up. We're going to have this in rapid fire motion. Let's welcome in Bruce Harper.
All right. Okay.
Bruce, have a seat right here next to us. And then after Bruce Harper is John Schmidt, center on the Jets Super Bowl III team. Is going to come up in just a moment. Had a chance to meet him here last year, and just all great people we're going to talk to. Good to see you, Bruce.
All right.
Always
too.
a pleasure. This is Vinny.
How you doing, Vinny?
So this is always a great event, and that Jet team from the late 70s, early 80s was so close, so special. It's still, all these years later, I feel it's a shame that it never amounted to a Super Bowl title. But your team is why I fell in love with football and fell in love with the Jets. When you think back to those times, how special was it for you and the other guys on the Jets?
I tell you, it was so special that even today, coming here for this golf tournament, I love these guys, and they love me, and we were close. Our first year, my first year in '77, was a little bit different. We had a little not togetherness, but after that, and maybe even because of that, we really got together. I mean, Wesley Walker's son, I'm the godfather. The other teammates, they're my daughter's godparents, and it's a union. It's a togetherness that you really can't explain. It's there. We love the guys.
What does it mean to you to be asked all the time back by Marty to be involved in not just this golf outing, but he's done the foundation now for 42 years, 43 years. Him and Kenny Schroy started it. What does it mean to you? You mentioned the camaraderie of the players and getting the seal out of them again. How special is it for you to help Marty out whenever he needs the assistance?
Well, for me, Marty asking me makes me feel like I matter to him. I matter to him. And if he thinks highly enough to have me invite me, then I'm certainly going to respond to that. But he's done a great job, and I'm not surprised at all by Marty, doing his thing, and all the guys that come out to support him. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. I'm just happy to be a part of the union.
Well, I don't think it's any coincidence that good people keep good people around themselves. So it's a compliment to you, obviously. Did you get a chance to go out and hit today?
No, I didn't. I tell you,
You're a little hot.
I used to hit so much that I hurt my back, and I can't hit anymore, But I don't feel like an old timer because we have, as has been mentioned, the Super Bowl guy here, John Schmidt. He's a old dog.
We'll get.
Oh, my son.
Yeah, we'll get to him, huh?
We're joined by former Jets running back and kick returner Bruce Harper here at the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic. When I think back to that team and following you guys as you made the playoffs a lot, and it was just such a special group, and I think it all came together for that group when Walt Michaels came on as the head coach, and it was a shame that it didn't last longer than it did. But for those years together and the playoff appearances, what did it mean for you to be able to play for Walt Michaels?
Well, really especially special because I went to Kutztown State College.
Andre Reed too, right?
Now, why you have to mention him? He's the second. There goes all my thunder. Huh? Right? I tell Andre, I say, man, you must feel good being the second biggest name out of Kutztown, you know?
Well, it's funny to that point because every time I see Bobby Jackson, and he talks about being Bobby Bowden's first ever NFL draft pick at Florida State, and you think about all the other guys at Florida State that have come since. But so it's good to be number one, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was glad to be there and glad to be with the Jets. But what was that? What was
Walt
that?
Michaels.
Walt Michaels, really, really special to me. In fact, he was the only reason I was invited to the Jets. I found out his dad. We knew who his dad was. And I begged him every day, please call your dad, call your dad. I went to little Kutztown State, 5'8", 175 pounds. I was too small to play. Nobody was interested in me. The only way that I got an opportunity was because Walt Jr. was at Kutztown with me. Mm-hmm. And I asked him every day to call his dad and get me a tryout. That's what got me here.
How great was it to play at Shea? Because when you think now the Mets are, moved into Citi Field in 2009 after, they were still around at Shea after you guys went to the Meadowlands. But I remember growing up in Queens and going to games at Shea with my dad, how the upper deck used to bounce up and down. And even if you sat remember the field level seats, for baseball, they went out like this. But when you guys played, they were able to slide that field level down the side. And if you sat in the back of the field level, you can make the field level bounce up and down as well. Right? I loved going to Jet games at Shea for you guys playing. How great was it?
Yeah, well, I never knew because I never sat up in the stands.
I know. I'm telling you how good it was.
Yeah, man. I remember.
He was bouncing on the field quite a bit, though. Yeah. Bobbing and weaving.
I didn't do that in the stands, but I was on the field, like you said.
But you had to feel it. You had to feel
and
the electricity.
You certainly feel, you could literally see the stadium bouncing. It was just awesome. It really was to be there. I felt like everybody was 100%, on our side, and we got a lot of great support. It was just great.
Yeah. So you did have a very storied career. Is there any one moment that you would look back on and say, this was a highlight of my career? This is what. The fans all have their highlight films and certain runs that they may have seen. But was there something that you could draw back upon and say, this was one of my highlights of my career?
I am so mushy and emotional. I almost feel like crying when I think of it,
Good.
Well, first of all, just the fact that I was there on the team. I remember the first game I went to, I walked out on the field. I was there so early, too early. And I just walked out on the field and put my foot in the end zone. And I looked up in the thing and I said, I wonder if I'm going to make it to this end zone today, in the stands. I said, all these people are going to be here watching me play football. So that was awesome. And then one game, I scored a touchdown, a 45-yard run against the Houston Oilers with Earl Campbell. And
34.
And we stopped him, and then I ran and scored a late touchdown, man. And the crowd, yeah. And my teammates, they picked me up, and, Bruce, you're the best, yeah. It was just great. That moment I will never forget.
My best memory of Jet football at Shea, watching it on TV, was the Dolphins playoff game when Richard Todd hit Jerome Barkham for the game-winning touchdown. But from the games that I was at, was beating the Packers at the end of the 81 season to make the playoffs. And if you don't remember, the Giants had to beat the Cowboys the day before, and then if you guys beat the Packers, both the Jets and the Giants made the playoffs, and that's exactly what happened. The Giants wore white at home on the Saturday to make the Cowboys wear blue, which the Cowboys never wanted to wear blue. Then you guys go out, and the Sack Exchange did a number on Lynn Dickey that day, 28-7 is the final score. How much do you remember that game?
Well, it's been a long time.
Well, I just brought up a lot of it to you.
Yeah, but a memory like that, it just doesn't go away, we have a lot of great memories, and we had the Sack Exchange, like you said, boy, they were awesome.
And just one last thing, what do you think of the current Jets? And do you follow them, and what do you think of that team this year as they try to get Aaron Rodgers back healthy?
This is the year.
You heard it here.
I've been saying it for a long time, but I really believe it now.
Yeah.
This is the year, man.
I've been saying it for 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know,
you know,
I
I was a
know.
year and a half old when the guy over there,
Yeah.
helped the Jets win us. What's that?
You had hair.
I did.
He had a
When I
little
was first born.
long curly hair he had.
Bruce, thank you so much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to see you, and thank you for all the great memories you had, with the Jets.
My pleasure, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's Bruce Harper here on Sports Bash. We're going to let Bruce go, and we are going to welcome in our second guest of the show. He was a member of the Jets Super Bowl III team that shocked the world when they beat the Baltimore Colts in Miami in January 12th, 1969. He was the center on that team. He's getting a lot of admiration from a lot of people that are here at the golf course. That's my son Bradley, who is going to be going right down the road here to LIU to play football. Bradley is a long snapper, and I know we had a conversation with John Schmidt about this last year, but John Schmidt was also the long snapper for that Jets Super Bowl III team. John, always good to see you. Good to see you. John Schmidt, the pride of Hofstra University. We don't have to go down the road of talking about why they don't have football anymore, but thank you for joining us for a few moments, and how special is it for you to be involved with this, Marty Lyons Celebrity Golf Classic?
Well, it was a little scary when you're talking to Brucey. I was at the first one, and that's 40-something years ago.
Yeah.
I keep on telling him I'm only 39, but he believes me.
That's okay. Age is it's just like
just a
beauty.
number.
Age, it's
Yes.
just a number. It's in the eye of the beholder. You always proudly walk around with that Super Bowl ring on, and last year was pretty cool for me. John let me wear it for a few moments last year. It's the coolest thing to see your team win a Super Bowl. I would love to see another one. How deep are the memories still of that day in Miami and the job that you guys did in shocking the Colts that day?
Oh, I mean, every morning I put it on. Every morning I don't sleep with it, but I do put it.
See, I would probably sleep with it. I would probably sleep
My
with it.
wife would be afraid I'd slap her in that. She'd kill me. She's mean. She's only 5'4", but she's mean. So I don't take any chances. But it's just the idea. We were. It was us against the world in those days because the NFL was trying to put us out of business.
Yeah.
They really
Oh,
was.
yeah.
All right. And the first two Super Bowls, the AFL got their butts kicked. And, we were, Howard Cosell, he picked us to lose 100-0. I love Howard. But, there were articles out, where are they going to get a scoreboard large enough to put the score on that we're going to lose by? And it was unbelievable. And, but, we were down there the week before the Super Bowl, and Joe was speaking at the Touchdown Club on Thursday night before the Super Bowl, all right? And it was a big crowd, 800-900 people, whatever it was. And he's speaking, and there's a guy in the back heckling him like crazy. And I mean, really nasty, not nice, all right? And Joe finally got fed up with it. And he said, hey, buddy, I just want to tell you something. He said, we've got a good team. He said, we're going to win that game this weekend. As a matter of fact, I guarantee we're going to win that game this weekend. Now, what Joe didn't know was a guy from the Miami Herald on the sidelines over there at the dinner. So the next morning, we wake up, and there's a Miami Herald article, right?
Yeah.
Namath, this big. Namath guarantees win. Now, Coach Eubank went crazy. I was sitting at the table with my wife, and Joe was at the next table. He was the most beautiful girl you ever saw in your life. And his eyes were a little
What a
bloodshot.
surprise.
No surprise.
If you watched any of the Joe Namath documentaries, you really wouldn't be surprised by that, Joe.
I tell everybody, I had the one position that every girl in the country wished they had. Bent over in front of Joe with his hands between my legs for 60 minutes every Sunday. And I loved it. Anyway. I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. No, it's
I
all right.
apologize. Joe, Coach Eubank comes in, and Joe's over there. He's got a newspaper article, the Herald, under his arm. And when he was mad, he would call Joe Joseph. Joseph, did you say that? And Joe's trying to focus on it. And the letters were this big, but he still had a hard time looking at him. And he said, yeah, Coach, I said that. Oh, Joe, you know what they're going to do. They're going to take that article. They're going to put it up on the locker room wall. They're going to come out. They're going to want to kill us, Joe. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, Joe? And that's the way, I'm not kidding, that's the
Yeah.
exact way he said, the exact words, and Joe goes, "You've been telling us all week, Coach, we're gonna win. Don't you think we're gonna win, Coach?" Yeah, I just told him what you've been telling us, no big deal. Well, I'll tell you what, let me tell you, in the first quarter of that game, they kicked our butts, all right? They really kicked our butts. They
So at the end of the
they
first quarter,
tried.
what were you guys saying, well, maybe
No, we
Joe's
weren't
premonition
saying
isn't
we were
coming
trying-
true?
I did, I did the Live at 5 show a couple of years after the Super Bowl with Ernie Anastas, okay? And it was a week before the upcoming Super Bowl. And we start the show, and it's live. I mean, there's no, there was no
No
taping.
second
It was
take.
live,
Right.
all right? So he says, "John, we have a few shots of you in the beginning of the game, and you see me getting pounded, I mean buried, all right?" And he said, "John, what was going on there?" And I said, "We're live, right?" So I said, "Well, you know Emerson, he likes to hit and spin. And, we had rain the night before. And he didn't know whether to wear his long cleats or his short cleats because of that weather." And I go, "But you could tell by how far my face was being pushed into the mud by the defensive line." I told him, "Wear the long cleats." And we cut off to a commercial, and I punched him right in the chest. I said, "I'm going to kill you." And it was over, But we took control in the second quarter, and we scored Matt scored a 19 straight off our left tackle off of Winston Hill. And they couldn't believe it. They hadn't had a touchdown scored against them on the ground all year, right? So they're getting kind of upset. And then we kick a field goal before halftime. And so in the second half, when we got out there, Joe didn't, we had basically a check with me offense from that on. Because the problem we had, to Coach Eubank coached the Colts before us. They knew our checkoffs. They knew our checkoff colors, all right? So, and we had all kinds of green, gray, gold, blue, black, brown, red, white, blue. But they knew our checkoffs, all right? So Joe, in the second half, number one, we didn't throw a pass in the second half. Number two.
That's remarkable.
That is
Joe Namath
remarkable.
did not throw a
Not
pass
throw a
in
pass.
at all in
Full
the second
second
half.
half.
Second
Yeah.
half, all right? And so we go check with me. So we go in the huddle, we would just talk, and then we go out to the line of scrimmage, and Joe will call a fake set of plays. Blue P36T, blue P36T, which was a fullback off the right tackle, okay? And then it was always a second call. Then he'd go, blue 35T, left side. So they would load it up over there, and we would run that way. And then so every time they would,
Change of direction there.
Yeah.
we would go the opposite, and they were fighting with each other. They were fighting with each other because they couldn't understand how, we always ran away from their strength. But Joe did it. Joe was the one.
But very smart, smart ball player.
The game has been shown on television a few times. I have it on DVD at home. So I don't remember watching it. I was too young to watch it. But I've watched the game probably 10 times. And as much as, and then Joe Namath, obviously, with the guarantee and the leadership that he showed you guys that day, obviously deserved to be the MVP. But I could look at any number of players on the field that day that could have been the Super Bowl MVP. You mentioned Matt Snell before, scored the only touchdown of the game for the Jets. Randy Beverly had 2 interceptions, including one in the end zone as the Colts were driving. So not only was it Joe, and he obviously played a huge role in it, but the fact of how great of a team you guys had, that there were 3 or 4 players that really, really dominated in the game that day.
Well, you see so much today, and I'm not knocking, the guys are the greatest athletes in the world that are playing today. But we played together. We were a team. And we really, like I said earlier, the NFL was trying to run us out of business. And we really, the greatest thing about playing in the Super Bowl, besides playing in the Super Bowl, was that all the teams that you played against, even the Raiders, and Kansas City, and they came over to our hotel a week before the game. And Schmitty, kick ass,
Get these guys.
Yeah.
We were playing for the league. We weren't playing for ourselves. We were playing for the whole league. And that was the greatest thing about that game, not just winning it,
but playing for the league, and Joe Namath came up to Matt Snell after the game, and he said, Matt, I'm gonna get the trophy, but this trophy belongs to you, because you are the reason why we won that game. He had 114 yards rushing, which was a record at that time.
And that's why they called Super Bowl III the game that, a lot of people look at the Giants,
Yeah, the
Colts
50
game as
the
the James, the
59,
58, Alan Amici scoring the touchdown. But really, the Jets beating the Colts in the Super Bowl. I mean, after the two blowouts in the first two games where the NFL won, as John said, for the Jets, I mean, we're probably not looking at the NFL in the same way today, had the Jets not won that game at the Orange Bowl, no question about it. Before, I kind of touched on this before you were, a center for the Jets, you played at Hofstra here on Long Island, and your name is up on the wall there still at the stadium. And I remember us having a conversation at Hofstra Stadium one night. The Jets had an open practice at the stadium. Hofstra had just discontinued football, which I think I can say it absolutely sucked, that decision for Hofstra to get rid of football. And so many great players came out of Hofstra, not just John, but you had Wayne Crabette, Willie Colon went to Hofstra, and I know I'm missing a couple of others. It's years later. There's a new president at Hofstra University. They still have the stadium. They still have the goalposts. They still have beautiful facilities there. Do you hold out any hope that your alma mater can bring football back at some point?
Honestly,
No.
you have to have a real leader that understands football and what, football isn't, at Hofstra, we got too much competition on Long Island for fans. And although they do pretty good out east at the university out there.
Stony Brook?
Stony Brook, yeah.
They get a pretty good crowd. And they're funny, the guy who's in charge of the stadium, running the stadium, his name is John Schmidt. And he was born on the same day I was.
Oh, wow.
I swear to God, yeah, really.
That's
So they
unbelievable.
get great turnouts out there. But
It's a good thing we didn't get him on the show.
I know.
I think there was a mistake like that on another
They do
station,
better
right?
than me.
Yeah.
But
No, I
but,
doubt that.
I threatened the president that I said, if I ever see you, I said, you'll be roadkill.
Oh, my God.
I really mean it, because we had a great team there. Coach Myers is our coach, and Joe Gotti, of course, after him.
Howdy Myers, they named the pavilion after him in the corner of the stadium.
Yeah, he was a great lacrosse. Probably, he was a better lacrosse coach than he was a football coach, but he was great. He was like a father to me. He really was. I loved him. And we had such a great team. It's a great school. It was a little school. When I went there were only 8 buildings, and one of them was a Quonset hut. I'm not kidding you. I had 10 scholarships to colleges, big colleges, Southern Cal, North Carolina. I had appointments at Merchant Marine Academy, Coast Guard Academy. I was a good student and everything. And this buddy of mine, Mike Manzer and Tim Gannon, these two guys were seniors at Hofstra, and they took me around, and I was already in the Merchant Marine. I already got my commission. I was in the academy, and they talked me out of it. Go to Hofstra, okay? And Harry Wright, who was the coach, and was a great guy. And while we played the Merchant Marine Academy every year, we beat him every year. Then he left there and he went to the Giants as a backfield coach, and we beat him in that first game up at Yale Bowl, and when we couldn't use the stadium. After the game was over, he came up to me and said, "Schmitty, can't you let me win one damn game before I die?" But Hofstra was such a great, it really formed my foundation the rest of my life.
How closely do you follow the current Jets? Still a big
Oh,
fan?
yeah, are you kidding me? Absolutely. My kids and I, we die, we pray hard, we die. I go to church every Saturday night, pray Sunday morning. But, I was over there last year, the Thursday before the game. I talked with the owner, with the general manager, the coaches, with the quarterback, with Aaron. They were so high. And then four plays into the game, the season was over. It was the most awful letdown I ever had in my life.
Is this our year? What's our record this year? What's our prediction?
Jets?
Yeah.
Will you get another one of these? No?
But I think, it all depends. It's very simple, okay? When we won the Super Bowl, Now, we only played 14 games, not 17. Joe Namath was sacked 8 times. The second, in 69, he was sacked 9 times. The Jets quarterbacks last year was sacked 79 times. And that's the
Not good.
answer.
Yeah.
If they can, now, we got 2 good young linemen, and we got 2 good veteran linemen. If the veterans, those 2 veteran linemen can stay healthy, got a great center, okay, he's young, but he's great, smart kid, he's a
He
little
just got
small.
married too, Joe Tippmann, over the weekend.
Is that
Got
right?
married, oh, yeah.
Well, good luck to him. And I'm saying that because I'm married 62 years, so I mean.
Yeah, you could say it.
I'm a few weeks
You
away
could
from
say
20. I'm a few weeks away from 20.
Just
Yeah.
get pimples when I was married 20 years. Yeah, I would love an 8-8 season. Well, a 9-8 season. I think, and that may even be more, but 9-8, okay? And if we could do that and get a basis, get the offensive, we need the offensive line. You see, we didn't have free agency. Our line played together for 8 years when we won
Oh,
the
yeah?
Super Bowl.
And you just don't see that anymore.
No.
I mean,
really don't.
you
In any
you-
sport.
You'll never get it anymore.
No.
And
In any
you
sport,
can't.
you don't see
You
it.
can't, but I mean, we knew if I took a step to the right, the next, Randy Rasmussen took and Dave Herman took a step to, everybody, Winston Hill took a step to the right. I mean, you didn't even have to think about it, and now they don't even know. I'm telling you, I was in there, we didn't even know what the name of the guy on the other side of the locker room was, for crying out loud. See, you gotta be together on the line. The line is the thing that, yes, you need a good quarterback, yes, you need one. We've got a great defense.
Oh,
We got
I'm
great
Defense is
Unbelievable.
great. We know
You
that.
know, but you
Pro
can't have a
Football
defense.
Focus, Pro Football Focus just named them going into the season the #1 defense in the
But
NFL.
you can't keep them on the field for 45 minutes.
No.
They're
get
just
tired.
too big, they
Yeah.
can't last. No matter how great a condition you're in, you can't last that long, all right? So they gotta get the offensive line. If they get those 2 young kids to work with the senior guys that they brought in, and then the center that they have, they're gonna be, they'll be very representable and make us proud again.
I got one last thing for you. I did touch upon this at the beginning of the interview. So my son Bradley over there, he's a long snapper, and he's going to LIU this fall. He's a freshman, gonna be a freshman long snapper, so pretty cool. D1 offer to play. So I mentioned that, back in your day, it wasn't specialized. You were the center, you were also the long snapper. Give me an example of how you grip the ball on a long snap, and the difference of how you had to transition from being the center to now having to do the long snapping.
Yeah, the long snapping is basically like you throw a pass, all right? And all you do is turn your hand over and under. This gives it the spin. And then you put this finger on this seam, all right? And then you throw it, and what you should do, and I'll show you, before the game, just practice throwing it over your head.
Oh, I got the welts on my hand to,
Okay.
we've done that, yeah, I got the welts on my hand to prove it.
That's the greatest way to learn how to do that. And you know what? I had to do everything. I mean, I snapped on extra points, I snapped on field goals, I snapped on punts, and to Joe, and I did everything but sell hot dogs at halftime.
Former Jets owner Harry Wismer, when the Jets were the Titans, the story goes, he was selling tickets out of his apartment room. So they had trouble selling them back in the Polo Grounds.
I
So
know.
it's not surprising that back in the day, people did a lot more than what they really were supposed
Oh,
to.
yeah, well, and I think it was mentioned, Bruce mentioned it early on. When we first started, there were only 33 players on the team. I was center, right tackle, and left defensive end.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's like arena
nobody's getting a
football.
break
That's
there.
like arena football now, with
Now,
guys playing
and
both
this
sides of
is
the ball.
best
There you
part.
go.
I had an $8,500 contract. I was making $1,000 more than my dad, who was a welder at the lighting company, all right? And I was happy. And next year, when they signed Joe to the
Yeah.
$427,000, I got $9,500, so I was happy as hell.
Hey, I can't thank you enough for stopping by. It means a lot to
My
us. And I know you always like being here for the Marty Lyons
I've been here
Foundation.
since the first one.
Absolutely. John Schmidt from the Super Bowl III Jets.
Great
We're gonna
job.
we're gonna take a break and kind of reset because we started about as well as you possibly could with 2 of the best guests we could possibly have. So we'll take a little break. We'll come back with more. We'll set a little bit more of the scene of what's going on here at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club, and maybe we'll take some food because there's some food on the other side over there, and we'll come back with more Sports Bash coming up right
Great
after
job.
this.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Can we get a picture with Bruce and everybody? Yeah.
Great job, Schmitty. You
Used to go to Butters. East Meadow, right?
All right, we're going live in 3,
Not if you were there, I wouldn't.
2, 1.
Welcome back. It's Sports Bash from the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic here at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets, and we are joined by Jets legendary linebacker Greg Buttle, current member of the Jets broadcast team. Always good to see you, my friend.
Always, Peter. Vinny, how are you? Good?
Greg, how are you?
Anytime you can be a part of something that Marty is doing for his foundation, so many of his former teammates like yourself and others always come back whenever he asks.
Pays me. He pays me.
He does pay you.
He pays me.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. How special is it for you to help?
Well,
him
let me
out?
put it this way so everyone's on the same page. First of all, what Marty's been doing for 40-some years, whatever it is just tremendous. Most charities really, unless you're a national charity where you're going out there stealing money all the time, Marty Lyons has been doing this, and nobody's getting paid. He does it on his own, and the money goes directly to the kids. And that's what I think is the most spectacular thing about the Marty Lyons Foundation.
And he's been doing it for 42 years. You know, Kenny Schroy helped him get it off the ground, and teammates like yourself have been, so supportive. And it really speaks to the person. And I've known Marty for a long time, just like yourself. It just speaks to the type of person that he has been, not just on the field as a football player, but off the field and everything he's done.
Well, it really has nothing to do with him on the field. It is what is he doing with the rest of his life? And a lot of times you don't find players that really know what they want to do with the rest of their life. But Marty found out early what he wanted to do. Forget the job he has, Atlantic, all that nonsense. But he really wanted to do this, and that is as admirable as you can have anybody do anything out of the kindness of his heart to go do it. I think it's great.
How was your golf game? How did you do today?
Well, my golf game is pretty good. My golf game was pretty good. We were 11 under, but I don't think that's going to win anything at this golf tournament. People put scores in.
Would you have a scramble today?
Yeah, it was a scramble.
ball?
Best ball, and everyone drives a ball, and then you play the best ball, and then you hit the next ball. But the course was beautiful. Of course, Old Westbury is always a very nicely kept golf course, and greens were very nice. They've done a lot of work on the trees and everything out here, and taking trees down and making really a beautiful, beautiful golf course.
I know the foundation is honoring your former teammate Joe Klecko tonight, but unfortunately Joe can't be here tonight. And I know you were in Canton last summer, as I was with my family, to see Joe get into the Hall of Fame. It was so long overdue. I can't believe how long it took Joe to get in the Hall of Fame, but the good news is he finally got in. How proud were you that day? How special was that for you to see?
Well, I mean, a lot of times good things are worth waiting for, although you look at it, and we, from our perspective, look at that and say it never should have taken that long. And there's plenty of
actually criminal that it's
well, there are a lot of people that aren't in the Hall of Fame that could be, and there are players that are in there that I don't know if they should or shouldn't be, but they're in there. And I tell you what, it takes a lot of playing, a lot of talent, a lot of people watching, a lot of winning. You're just not going to get in there just because of any reason. You really got to go out there and be the player on the field every single time you step on that field, and that was certainly Klecko.
Talking to Greg Buttle, former Jets linebacker and a part of the Jets broadcast team, and some changes for broadcasting this year. You guys moved from ESPN Radio over to iHeartRadio and on the FM signal on Q1043. So, are you excited for that?
Well, it's something that's new, and we're gonna have to feel our way through that, because obviously we don't know anybody from Q1043, and it's a different type of formatted radio station, not all sports, but I think, listen, they have the reach, and that's number one. They have the reach, and I think we'll be fine. I think that the Jets made a very good decision with them, because how many places are you going to go, and how many people are going to be bidding on what you're going to do? And ESPN is now in the rearview mirror, so to speak, and I think we'll find out how good it's going to be. Now, that being said, just win, baby.
That's it.
Just win, and it's going to be great.
What's the prediction for the year? What are you saying?
My name is not Nostradamus.
Okay.
But I will tell you, so all things being equal, this is the best Jets football team that they've had, talent-wise, since I've been there. I mean, all deep talent. They have it. Now, whether they can stay healthy is another issue.
That sounds like 10-7 to me.
I think more than that.
Really?
I'm looking at 11-6.
Wow.
you know what?
aggressive.
Because you guys are experts, so you would know. So why would you even ask me that question? I mean,
Because you're the former player and you're the analyst and you're the real person.
I
in the
would
know.
say this, and this is how I compare it. Last year, if Aaron Rodgers was not hurt, they'd have been 13-4, 13-5. They would have made the playoffs. They were 7-10, and they lost like 5 games by 1 score. I mean, come on. So you're going to tell me that Aaron Rodgers isn't worth 1 score in the game? Come on. So if that was last year, and this year they have really gotten better on the offensive line, obviously on the offensive line. Now, can you stay healthy? I don't know. The defense got even better on defense. You want to talk about running back? Got better at running back. What you want to talk about wide receiver? Got better at wide receiver. So how
should
do
win
you
the AFC
say
East. They
10-7 is my point? How do you say 10-7? What kind of prediction is that, Greco? Go on the limb. Get out on a limb and say, listen,
least
this
I
is
said
what they're going to
12.
do.
15-2, Buttle.
Well, I don't know about 15-2.
You talked about the defense. Obviously, Quinn and Williams gets a lot of the notoriety up front and Sauce in the defensive backfield. But in the middle, the linebackers, and you know a thing or two about playing linebacker for the Jets, the C.J. Mosley has been so good since he's come over. Probably one of the best free agent pickups that the Jets have ever had. And he means so much to that defense. He's kind of like the glue in the middle and makes play after play after play. You've seen him now for a few years with the Jets. What are your thoughts on C.J. Mosley?
I think they ask him to do too much. How's that? I think they ask
They
him
don't
to
have to anymore.
Well, maybe they don't, but we're going to find that out. First of all, Quincy Williams has come along, and I will tell you, he's the most improved Jet player in defense I've seen in 20 years. I mean, from year 1 that he got there to year 2 to year 3, I think that he is a very, very big playmaker. When you're a linebacker and you make plays at or behind the line of scrimmage, you're doing something. And I will tell you something. Mosley's been playing so well every year, and he's managed to escape injury. From what we talk about injuries, hurts are different, but they have a good, solid defense. And I will tell you something. That can carry you in the playoffs. It may not carry you all the time through the season, but boy, when you get in the playoffs and you become specific game planning to this team, that's when it really helps you out.
We've talked about this before. I'm going to bring it up again for the show. But when I see you and I see Marty and I see Bobby Jackson and Bruce Harper and Kenny Schroy, that's the team I grew up watching, the Jets play and falling in love with football and the Jets. And I've asked a few of the guys this already today. But that group of players, you guys had such camaraderie. Now, it didn't end the way we all wanted it to end. But how special was that group of players for you and, making the playoffs, making those playoff runs and just having that special feeling at Shea Stadium those years?
Well, Shea Stadium was a different bird, obviously, and then when we went to the Meadowlands, that was a different bird. But Shea Stadium was, I guess it was special for us because that's where the Jets came out of the Super Bowl win and started playing at Shea Stadium all the time, and it was that home for the Jets. So when I got there, that was Jet Stadium, and I thought it was special in that we had an advantage, I thought, many times as the weather got colder. I thought that we had a bigger advantage there. But it doesn't matter what stadium you play in, where you play a game, it's how you play the game and how hard and how smart and how fast you are. And if the Jets do those 3 things, they can play on the moon and win.
I'm glad they have the old logo back, by the way.
Well, to me, it's logo's logo, but I thought that was the advent of the new Jets in the 80s, and then they've gone back to it. Hey, they may switch it in 2 years, who knows? But other than that, I think it's great.
You know what? They
It's
finally brought it back for a couple of games last year, and and one thing I will credit owner Woody Johnson. There's a lot of times where the owner of a team, a sports team, and you know this, you've been following sports forever. There's a lot of times where owners can fall on deaf ears when it comes to the fans. And you can't listen to the fans say they should trade Buttle, they should do this, they should whatever. But a simple thing like that, it was what the fans wanted. They wanted to see that come back. And I give Woody a lot of credit for listening to the fans and bringing back something as minutia as it might be. The fact that they brought it back, I think, speaks a lot to what he thinks about the fan base.
from my experience with Woody Johnson, the fans are number one to him. I mean, he understands exactly what's going on out there. And a lot of times there's things that you just can't do because it's not prudent, or it's not timely, or it doesn't matter what you do because you've just lost three years in a row, and so it's hard to do these changes. You want to try and figure out what's the run. How can the changes I make can make us into a run? And so far, right now, it looks like the pieces are starting to fall in place. And so this may be one of those pieces that you look back and say, boy, what a great move that was. It coincided with them coming back and winning and going to the playoffs or the Super Bowl for that matter. Who knows?
Yeah, because when they launched this logo in '78, it was only a couple of years later that they make the playoffs, and they made a couple of playoff runs. So it's a special logo for a lot of Jet fans. You know, the old one is too. This one is too. It's the logo they won the Super Bowl with. But I grew up with the one that they have now, so I'm very happy.
Awesome.
Greg,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for stopping
Victor?
by for a few minutes.
Thank you.
And always good to see you.
Awesome.
Greg Buttle, former Jets linebacker and a part of the Jets broadcast team. And I can't say on ESPN radio anymore because now it's Q104.3 and iHeartMedia. Always good to see Buttle, number 51. When again, you know me.
Funny guy,
You
too.
know me a little over a year now. You
Yes.
know how I'm like a kid in a candy store with this stuff now and seeing some of these guys that I grew up watching and getting a chance to fall in
Yeah,
love with
it's
the
funny
team.
because I guess you were class of '85, right?
I was, yeah.
Class of '85, and I just actually realized that last night when one of our mutual friends or somebody an acquaintance that you had, I didn't realize that you guys were the same year.
Yeah.
So so actually I grew up on the same team. He happens to be a Cowboy fan himself.
Yeah.
But I grew up on the same team. I grew up the same team, watching them, and I remember the sack exchange, the dances, and
Yeah.
and everything else
And-
back
and-
in the day. I did tell you what
Yeah.
my son said to me though. Did I tell you about that?
No.
So both your boys are Jet fans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was easy.
So I know
That was the easy part when Cheryl was pregnant with Bradley. We didn't have any problems with the Jet part of it.
I know there's some division amongst
There
the
is some
ranks.
division. Dad got the Islanders, Mom got the Mets, and by the way,
What in hockey? They're
the
all
hockey,
Islanders.
I got the Islanders. Yeah,
They're all Islanders.
But
So the only division is baseball.
it's baseball.
Baseball.
Between me and the kids.
So my son literally, it was recently, it was in the last year. And it was probably not long after the Rodgers injury. And he was standing in the kitchen, and I'll never forget it. I was on the couch. He was in the kitchen over there. And he looked at me and he said, "Dad, why'd you have to make me a Jet fan?" So
All right,
I
so
said, "Listen, we have good times yet to come."
I tell this story to everybody, when we talk about how the kids became Jet fans or whatever. So when both Bradley and Jared were both born, within a half an hour or so, however long it took to do the whole process, right? And Cheryl is relaxing and recovering, right? I go with the nurse, first with Bradley, obviously, and a few years later with Jared, and the nurse is cleaning them off and everything. It's calm, it's quiet, it's unbelievably quiet in the room. And the same thing happened with both of them. I leaned over to both Bradley and Jared, obviously 4 years apart, and said, "Mommy and Daddy love you very, very much, but it is my duty to tell you that you are Jet fans." And I don't know what it was. I don't know if he understood it, if he spent the 9 months in the womb figuring out how bad Jet history was.
might just
but
be.
they both let out the craziest crying fit you'd ever want to hear.
Well, I heard that cry
Well,
at
Mommy
18.
and Daddy had to suffer. They got to suffer too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you know what?
It's not
Bigger
easy
things-
being green.
It's not. Kermit the Frog was absolutely right when he said that.
Yes.
But you know what? We've had a few good years here and there.
Yes.
I am really optimistic. Like I am genuinely excited. I really,
It's like deja vu all over again, though. I think we said this last year.
Well, we did, but you know what? I have no other choice but to feel it again. You know me long enough now. I wake up in the morning and I try to be optimistic about everything
you
that I. So
It's
I'm-
admirable.
Right.
It
So I'm
actually
looking
is.
for
It's very
like,
admirable.
again. Like I joke. I said the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I pick up the obituary, and if I don't see my name, I go on with the rest of my day. That's it. That's all. That's what I can do every day. And when it comes to the Jets, I never stop believing.
There you go.
They
Do
suck
you
me
still
in.
get the newspaper?
On Sundays.
Oh, on Sunday you get
Yeah,
it.
Sunday I'll read it on the internet during the week, but on Sundays I like to sit with my bagel for breakfast and read the newspaper. I
So-
really would like to read the newspaper.
Do you read it front to back or back to front?
Oh, back first. Actually, in season, I pull out the high school sports section first.
Ah, okay.
And I go through for obvious reasons. I like to go through the high school sports section first, then the real sports section, or the pro sports section, and then the front.
So Fiorello LaGuardia actually used to do the exact same thing. And when he was asked, why do you read the paper from the back forward? He said it's because it's the only place in the news where they celebrate men's accomplishments. So think about that, because it
Absolutely.
doesn't sell papers. You know, you help a lady, a little old lady across the street, or you do something great. Doesn't sell papers. But what does sell papers is celebrating the men's accomplishments, and we have a big list of men's accomplishments here. But not only, you know what, Peter? Yes, it's great to see these fantastic athletes, and they're one in a million. But really what makes them one in a million, or a guy like Marty Lyons and his foundation, one in a million, is not the fact of the celebrities and the names and the people that come through here and seeing the Super Bowl rings. It's not about that today.
Right.
And it hasn't been about that for a very long time for Marty. And he focuses on the children and what's right and helping them. And you know what? That makes him more of a hero to me
Yeah.
than anything he's ever done on a football field. Not only him, but all the people that come here to support him, whether it's Bruce or, or Lance or anybody else that's coming through, Greg that comes through. All these people that come through, yes, it's great to have an idol on the football field, right? But you know what? To take that platform now and pay it forward in another way, it's just tremendous.
In the Jewish religion, we have this word called mensch. I'm sure you've heard it mentioned a couple of times.
MENSCH.
That's
is it?
correct.
There you
Very
go.
nice. Not bad.
Not bad for a goy.
And last thing before we do take a break, based on that word mensch, if you looked up that word in the dictionary, you will see a picture of Marty Lyons.
Yes,
and
you
that's
would.
really all you can say about it. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back more. Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com. We are live at the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic, Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. We're coming back with more right after this. did you go home?
Where's home, Eric?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, nice. Love
Hot
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Love Atlanta.
We're back, Sports Bash Spotlight, presented by TicketBash.com. We are live at the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic here at the Old Westbury Country Club, Golf and Country Club. I'll get it correctly. Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets. Our next guest is probably just already sick and tired of talking to me because he joined me on my WFAN show the other day, but he is nice enough after a round of golf today for a good cause to join us. Former Jets cornerback Eric McMillan. Are you sick of talking to me yet?
No,
No.
never. No. This for a good cause. This is what I come here for, to do whatever they ask me to do. So I'm happy to be here.
We talked about this the other day, and we've been talking to some of the other guys who have stopped by the set here. How special it is to be involved with the Marty Lyons Foundation, and you played with him and stayed in touch all these years, and a big volunteer and a big help to the foundation. What does it mean to you to be a part of a day like this?
Well, on a day like this, this is the special occasion where you have the real celebrities, the Make-A-Wish recipients, that we're doing all this for. They're here to, get some support, meet some quote-unquote celebrities, but they're the real celebrities, and have some of their wishes come true and be able to tell their story. So that's why we're here. That's one of the reasons why I'm here. Another reason is keep my umbilical cord attached to my teammates, get to see the guys, and hang out and chop it up a little bit, and play for a worthy cause.
So when you do chop it up with the guys, is there any story you could share with us? Can't share it.
Well, let me ask you this.
Well, yeah, I could tell you a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing that's strictly confidential, but it's good to see. I was telling a couple of my teammates yesterday. It's good to see them, upright and walking. Because a couple of years ago, their back was stiff, or they needed a little surgery, a little hip replacement, a little knee replacement. Another teammate of mine, had a bad neck, and he couldn't turn his head, and that's the reason why he, retired from football. And I'm glad to see him, out here turning his head left and right. And I told him that, and we kind of reminisced about the way we used to play compared to the way they play now. And the kids today may not have the same injuries that we experienced, So because we keep our head, we're teaching kids to keep their head out of the tackle now. So it's good to see these guys, to be limber, agile, mobile, standing upright, that kind of thing. So
The other day on FAN, I asked you how your golf game was,
Oh,
and you
Lord.
said, "Peter, we'll see on Monday how it is." So it's after the golf tournament. How did Eric McMillan do today?
I struggled today. Usually, recent years I would come out here and my putting game would be, just spot on. My putting game was off. My driving game was off. I had a couple of good shots, but nothing to talk about. I struggled today, but it's for a worthy cause, and I had a great time.
It's
doing it.
just all fun, right?
Yeah,
At this-
exactly.
At this point. Former Jets cornerback Eric McMillan joining us here on Sports Bash from the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic. And you touched on this before, getting to see some of your former teammates and other former Jets and other celebrities that are here. I know for me, getting to see a lot of you guys, you feel like a kid in a candy store. Do you kind of get that same feeling when you see some of your former teammates again?
I do, because the New York Jet umbilical cord, as I refer to, is we're a pretty tight knit bunch of guys. I mean, I'm rubbing elbows with guys that I didn't play with. They're a lot older than me, and they accept me. We have conversations. We shake hands, we hug, and we kind of share stories from time to time. We talk about, hey, I appreciate your career. Hey, you appreciate my career, kind of thing. And and we're working together. We're doing this for the same reason. So, our community is real tight. I can't say that for other organizations. I don't really know about other organizations, but I know our community is real tight, man. And, it makes me proud to be accepted, by some of the guys that I never played with that have a Super Bowl ring. I don't have a Super Bowl ring. So, they can always be, hey, I got something you don't have. And sometimes they do, but it's all in fun. Yeah.
we talked, one of the things we did not talk about the other day that I wanted to make sure I brought up when we saw you here today is I didn't get to talk to you about being a coach. And I know that's one of the things you love doing now back home in Atlanta, Georgia, as someone who played in the National Football League for a long time. What's it like being a coach? I think you're at the high school level, right? You're
Yeah,
a
I'm
high
at,
school
I'm
coach.
at the high school level. I have not been, made any offers to come to the pros or go to college or anything. So, I accept that. I respect that. But I'm a very, very proud high school coach. I have three guys that are in the NFL right now. Guys that I poured a lot into. I can't play this game anymore, so I kind of give them everything that I know is like any information and put it to good use. I like working with people that are able to listen to me and willing to use, what I'm bringing to the table, for the better good of, their athletic career as well as their academic career, academic success, going to school and, using the principles of football to live their everyday life, trying to help develop young men. 3 in the pros, 39 kids, 39 DBs went to college. Some of them, most of them Division I, Division II kids, and you got some Division III kids. But once again, I can't do this anymore, so I'm pouring into the young people.
Before Vinny jumps in, to follow up on that, can you tell right away when a kid comes into high school, starts playing football, whether they had pee-wee football experience, whatever, can you tell right away if somebody's got what it takes to make it to the next level?
I've had some of those experiences, yes. There's, I'll just go ahead and call him out. There was a guy there, Al Covey, played safety. DeAndre Bell, he's a safety for the Cleveland Browns right now. He kind of went a different pathway, went to junior college first, and then he went to a major college, and now he's in the NFL. COVID hit, so that kind of delayed his time to get there, but he's there. Eric Stokes, was a running back at Eastside High School in Covington, Georgia. SEC coaches liked him, loved him. Cat was fast, 4.25. I knew that this kid had a lot of tools to work with, and but the SEC coaches said they didn't want to see him playing defensive back, so because he was kind of frail, tall and skinny. So I had 1 year to teach him what I knew, to get him to be a corner and backpedal and get his eyes in the right place. Can he catch a ball, kind of thing, and he did all of that, man. So he was a first-round draft pick to the Green Bay Packers in 2021, I think it was. And so I got that's two of the guys, and there's the third guy. Man, who is it? I got so many right now, I can't even think of who it is. I'm wore out, man. This heat.
That heat'll do it to you.
But
Well,
anyway,
you're from Atlanta. You should be used to this, right? Is it a
Yes.
different kind of heat, or is it like this?
well, Atlanta's a different kind of heat. The humidity is a lot thicker. We're talking about almost 80% humidity, sometimes 90%. You walk out the door from an air-conditioned place, or you just take a shower and you walk out the door, and it feels like you're walking through invisible cotton, and you start sweating immediately. So it's a different kind of heat. But today was, like I said, when you struggle playing golf, you're taking extra swings. So I wore myself out.
Yes.
I struggled today.
How's your team looking this year?
This year is going to be very interesting. I'm at a different school. I'm at Woodward Academy in College Park, Georgia. They went to the state championship last year. Unfortunately, they lost. We have a young offensive line. We have a young defensive line. IMG has taken a lot of our players, so we lost some players. So, I know our DBs are going to be, really exponentially needed to make a lot of plays on defense. So we'll probably run with 5 DBs in the game. My free safety is Jerome Bettis Jr. Okay. My right corner is Rodney Harrison Jr. You call him
Got some
RJ.
royalty on his team. How about
And,
that? Some NFL royalty.
I got a sophomore playing on the left corner, and then I got a kid that was a freshman last year who's going to be a sophomore. I saw him right away. To your point, can I tell? I was like,
Yeah.
This kid right here is going to be a player. I got to develop him, and he's going to be a sophomore. He's going to play a heck of a lot. So,
You brought up IMG Academy, and it popped into my mind. As I told you before the interview, my son Bradley is about to go to play Division I college football at LIU, and we watched that movie about the phony school.
Yeah,
'Cause-
yeah.
And was it IMG that they went to play on ESPN? Right? Yeah, it was. They played IMG. Did you know the story about that fake school in Ohio? What was it? Bishop Sycamore. Bishop Sycamore was the name of the school. Were you aware of that story? Did you see the movie? And as a high school coach, how offended were you by what they tried to pull with those young men?
I heard about it. I did not see the story, or I didn't visually see the story. With my own eyes. I heard about it. Things that are out of my control, or out of my vision, or out of
Yeah.
my reach, I just don't put any credence into it, and
Yeah.
I just focus on what I have to do to be the best coach that I can offer my kids the best opportunity to reach the next level. So I don't spend no time on that.
And the other day, we talked about this on the fan, but I'll ask it again for our viewers. But I asked you about Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
And obviously he's been so good for the Jets his first couple of years. And for you as a cornerback, do you see any similarities with him and Darrelle Revis, another Jets great cornerback, and any similarities to any part of your game when you were in the
Yeah,
NFL?
both of those guys' coverage is very, very sticky, as I call it. They know how to stick to a guy no matter what his move is. Revis is very deceptive. I had the privilege to be an interim coach in 2016, and Darrelle Revis was there, and that cat would lie to his receivers, man. He would line up outside, and the receiver think he can go inside. Then he'll take away the inside, and then he's punching on them, slowing them down, and then the quarterback's like, I ain't got time to sit there and, wait for you to come off the line of scrimmage kind of thing. And, Revis was very smart, crafty, great footwork, great IQ. He had excellent ball skills. Sauce Gardner's got long arms, okay, extremely long arms. He's very smart. His footwork is excellent. He understands what the receivers are trying to do. And to be honest with you, Sauce Gardner dictates to the receiver what's going to happen on their release. Okay, he's a dictator.
Yeah.
And look, Revis was a dictator too, but I'm watching Sauce and I'm like, if the guy wants to get inside, he's going to take that away from him. Plain and simple. It won't be an inside release.
Right.
He's going to be outside, and Sauce always knows where the guy's going to be. He knows where he needs to be, and then he knocks the ball down.
I have one last question, and I forgot to ask this the other day because we were talking about that '91 game in Miami the other day when you guys won the last game of the season to beat the Dolphins. Raul Allegre, that was a great story about Raul Allegre, that he couldn't make a field goal at all. Pat Leahy got hurt, and they brought in Raul Allegre, and Eric said that Allegre didn't make one kick in practice during the week. And
He didn't
makes
make
two.
any kicks in practice the entire
Nothing.
week prior to the game, and I was like, and then the game came down to a field goal at the end, so we were all locking hands.
A
I'm
field
on
goal.
my knees, and my teammates were on our knees, holding hands, saying prayers.
Crossing
and-
fingers.
A field goal to put the game into overtime, and then he gets the game-winning field goal. But the thing that I liked about Eric when he played for the Jets, more so than any other corner, maybe Revis too, was that this guy could pick off Dan Marino. Like there was no tomorrow. This guy, how many times did you pick him off? You had 2 in one game.
Yeah,
against
they
him.
had 3 in one game.
Was it
actually.
3 in one game? See, I undersold you. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I had 3 in one game, my rookie year, playing against Marino. And how many times did I pick him off? I don't really know that number, but I do know there was. Let's see, I was with the Jets 5 years, and I picked him off every game that we played against each other, except for maybe 1 or 2 games. So I got at least
Well, the
one.
3 makes up for any of the ones that you didn't get one in. So.
But Marino was my guy, man. He was very challenging to most. He had never seen speed, like I possessed, and the know how to fit into to the reception area to pick off a pass. He never seen anybody close a gap that quick. So, it's kind of different for quarterbacks and receivers to kind of gauge, how I got there. And then a lot of times I gambled. I was in places I wasn't supposed to be, but the quarterback's looking right there, then I'm just using my skills and
shot.
my IQ to do what I got to do to make a play for our defense.
I can't thank you enough for stopping by. Good to talk to you 2 times in
Absolutely.
a few days, and
Thank you.
enjoy the rest of the night. We'll see you inside a little bit later on, and always a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you again really soon.
Good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Former Jets cornerback Eric McMillan joining us here on Sports Bash. I know the man of the hour was just here.
He was.
He was here. He's coming back. We understand he's coming back. Marty Lyons is going to join us here on Sports Bash in just a couple of moments. But we've had a nice A-list of guests on this remote, and I'm going to pat myself on the back for doing a good job.
Another great
producing.
job by Peter.
And obviously, you know what? We would not be sitting here right now if it was not for a few people. Most importantly, Chris Gannon, our videographer, our video coordinator. Does he have an official title with Sports Bash Media? What would be on his business card if he had a business
That's
card?
a really good question.
Multiple hats. There you go. Director of multiple hats. How about
Yes.
that? Can we get
Yes.
that on his business card? Director of I like that. Director of multiple hats. But and I don't want to forget these.
Chief Utility Officer, CUO.
Yeah, there you go. So I want to make sure we don't forget at the end, whenever we're done, to thank some of the people that helped us get here to the show, and Chris is one of them. And obviously Kenny Zor, our good friend, and one of the big reasons why the Marty Lyons Foundation is the official charity of Sports Bash Media. And everybody at the foundation, we saw Eileen before, and all the men and women who are volunteers here at the Marty Lyons Foundation. And I'm proud to say that my family, everybody in my family are volunteers of the Marty Lyons Foundation. I know your son was here earlier today. So it's a very, very special event to be part of here. And I just want, on behalf of the show, thank everyone who was a part of us being here tonight.
Yeah, Ken, Chris, all of them. Marty, of course, for making it all possible. And the list goes on, but it was a great day. A lot of great people here, and a lot of great interviews for a great cause. So.
And we're waiting on Marty Lyons. I don't think we could sign off and say goodbye without talking to the big
Guest
fella,
of the hour.
Marty Lyons. And so you know what we'll do? Let's step aside for just a minute.
Yes.
We'll hit Control-Alt-Delete. Not really, because then Chris will knock us off the air if he hits Control-Alt-Delete. So we don't really want him. No, don't. No, you'll be in the territory of somebody else if you do that. So don't do that. So it's Vinny Tickets, Peter Schwartz. We'll be back with a little bit more here from the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club here on Long Island. We'll be back with more right after this.
You still need me or not?
After Marty. And we're back. It's Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets, Sports Bash Media Spotlight, direct from the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic at the Old Westbury Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. I knew at some point I was going to mess it up, the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. And we are here for the Marty Lyons Foundation. And of course, Marty Lyons joins us. You know, first of all, thank you for stopping by.
My pleasure.
We're coming up on a year of doing Sports Bash. Started as a weekly show, and now we're on every Monday through Friday morning at 9 o'clock, and we do these specials. The very, very first guest on Sports Bash was Marty Lyons. So it's only appropriate we have you back here at our special show here at the Golf Classic.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I remember doing that. I was coming back from New Jersey, and we actually did it when I was in the car driving.
Yes.
You know, I don't even think it broke up at all, but
No, we had a good
it's
line
No,
that
it's
day.
good
It's the
reception.
technology.
It's my pleasure, and I really do appreciate everything you guys have done for the foundation, the exposure that you've given us, and so many people that you have touched that we wouldn't have had the reach without you guys saying something about the foundation, without you wearing the foundation sweatshirt on there. And, you know, I can't thank you enough.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Marty, I must say, it's very easy to do things for you because of who you are and what you represent. It's one thing to have the platform, but to use the platform the way that you've used it over the last 40 years, I know Peter and I, we're more than honored, and it's our pleasure to do whatever we can to help you and all the great deeds and the great acts that you're a part of. So
Well,
it's
once
our
again,
pleasure.
You know, I appreciate that, and I think everybody listening and everybody here, everybody has a platform. And I think once you find your purpose in life, then you've really fulfilled your platform. And my platform was playing football and then starting the foundation for terminally ill children in '82 with just 6 people around the table, Kenny Shroy, his wife Susan. And, you know, Kenny and I were roommates and teammates with the Jets. And I said, Kenny, this is what I'd like to do, but I need your help. He goes, bang, you're in. And, you know, I've had the total support of my teammates and the New York Jets organization now for 42 years. And to realize that the first child we ever sponsored would have been 59 if he had survived. So when you say somebody would have been 59, I think that you can relate to that more than it's been 42 years. And, you know, we've had our roller coasters up and down, and hardest thing sometimes is to raise money, but somehow we find the goodness in people, and they want to believe in the mission. They want to be a part of it. And, you know, 43 million, now we have, we operate in 14 states, and we've helped over 8,500 families. So I think it's a true compliment to everybody that has been involved.
There are so many different events throughout the course of the calendar year that your foundation puts on. It's not just this golf classic. You have the bowling event coming up later this summer. And by the way, my son Jared, who's on the bowling team in his school, he has been practicing. He is ready to kick some butt at that golf at the bowling event coming up in August. But there's also the gala, and there's all these other events that you do. But I know you can't do it by yourself. You've got a team that works with you. How important is everybody at the
Well,
foundation to
it's
what you do?
just like anything, you know, Peter. If you look at the foundation, you look at the NFL, you have a GM, you have coaches. We sit down all the time and we go, this is what we'd like to do as a foundation. I have a great board and I have a great medical staff. And we sit around, we bounce off suggestions. There's no one person in there that's driving the train. So when you allow somebody to voice their opinion and you appreciate all the time and effort that they're giving you, their suggestions sometimes makes more sense to me than what I thought. Because I get emotionally, you know, tied in with the families and the kids, and I go, this is what I'd like to do. And all of a sudden the board will go, no, we can't do that. And again, that's why you have a board. If you wanted to do it your way, you wouldn't need a board. But I'm fortunate, I'm blessed. I have 4 people that run the office. I can't tell you how many people I have as volunteers. I've got 26 to 28 people that donate their time and serve on the board of the foundation to help make every decision from do we medically approve a child or financially, how are we going to exist? You know, going through the pandemic, it was tough, it was difficult, but we had great leadership. And, you know, I think right now at this point, you could take anybody's name and put it to the foundation, and it would work.
When you grant the wish to a child, obviously there's different wishes that come in. What's the general cost for a wish that the foundation and how many wishes can be helped by an event like this?
Well, quite a few with an event like today. But if you go back 42 years ago, an average wish, whether it was a trip to Disney or a computer, was running us about $2,500 a wish. Now it's up to $6,700. And what we have decided as a board is once that child is approved, we'll take money from the general bank account and move it into the wish account. So all the kids that are waiting, whether it's medically, their application has been approved, that money has already been put away. So I don't have to worry if I have 60 wishes in the pipeline, those 60s are paid for. So it was a good thing that our treasurer brought to us, said, you know what, we don't want to find ourselves short because I believe we might be the only wish organization that will do a first wish and a second wish, meaning the child goes into remission, they have a relapse. It's more devastating the second time. And then the families try to reach out to somebody. And for the longest time, I had to tell them, sorry, I can't help you. Your son or daughter has already had a wish. And then I went to the board because as a father of 4, I always thought that was a terrible, terrible answer. We can't help you because you've had a wish. So now it's under certain, circumstances, but we will provide a second wish. And I think it's been great for us. We've created hope where hope didn't exist. And by doing a second wish, you really have to raise a lot of money.
Yeah. So, Marty, can you, at what point, can you bring us back 40 years and say at what point did you know that this is something that you always wanted to do? And could you ever imagine, the second part of that is, could you ever imagine that you'd have this kind of success?
Well, first of all, I never imagined doing it. But my oldest son was born on March 4th. My dad suddenly died of a heart attack on March 8th. And a little boy that was a big brother too died at the age of 5.5 on March 10th. And I struggled to find an answer. I questioned my faith. I walked away from everything that I believed in. And a month or maybe 6 weeks later, I looked in the mirror and I didn't like that reflection I saw because now death was defining who I was. So that's when I reached out to Kenny and Susan Shroy and I said, you know what? I need a vehicle. I need something that will allow me to move from one day to the next to the next. And when we started it, I didn't know our first wish was for a young man named Stephen. Unfortunately, he passed away. I went to the wake, went to the funeral. His father said to me, Stephen was a very brave man. He really was excited about being your first recipient. How long do you plan on doing this? And I said, well, I just started it, but hopefully I can do it a lifetime. And he said, if I can give you a little bit of advice, he says, just be sensitive to the families and understand that, the difficult that they're going through, the siblings. And I was, for so many years, we never publicized all the work that we did. And I would run into people and they say, hey, we sent a check to Make-A-Wish. And I said, well, I'm not Make-A-Wish. And they go, oh my God, we made a mistake. I said, no, Make-A-Wish does a great job. And I'm not out here to compete with Make-A-Wish. I'm out here to complement the work that they do. Yes. And there's just so many children out there that need our help, that need our support, that are really basically getting cheated out of life. But if you take time to listen to them, they're teachers in the game of life. They can give you a message that will make you feel better about who you are, a message that will make you stronger where you don't fear dying, because they make you understand that if you have faith, faith is believing in something or someone you can't see. But if you have enough faith, when you do die, you'll be rewarded and you'll get to see everything you believed in. So, these kids have been super strong, super special, and, God put them in my life.
We have a few minutes left with Marty Lyons, the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic here at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. We are here tonight also to honor one of your former teammates who unfortunately can't be here tonight, and that is Joe Klecko. And my family and I, last summer, had the honor of being in Canton to watch Joe Klecko finally get in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is criminal that it took as long as it did. I'm pretty sure you agree with me on that. You presented him, which I just thought was as awesome as it was to see Joe Klecko get into the Hall of Fame, to see you present him. I know how special it was for me and my family to see it. I can only imagine how special it was for you.
Yeah, it was a privilege, you know, that you look at Joe's career and everything that he accomplished, all pro at 3 different positions, and he could have chosen a lot of people. And when he asked me, I said to him, well, Joe, you have a son, Danny, that has 3 Super Bowl rings. What about Danny? And he goes, no, I really want you to do it. And I said, well, Joe, it'd be my honor to do it, but what about your son, Michael? And he goes, they would just get up there and talk about Dad. He goes, I want you to do it. So it was a true privilege for me to get and induct Joe, be the presenter. Everybody knows I've never hidden the fact I love Joe Klecko, and I would do anything for him. And I used a line from Martin Luther King. He said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you have to do, you have to keep moving forward. And that's all Joe did for 30 years before he got the call to go into the Hall of Fame. You never heard him complain. You never said, he said, you know what, I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame. No, he always wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. But I think God wanted him also to find his platform and find his purpose. And in those 30 years, I can tell you that Joe is now a devoted Christian and almost a historian of the Catholic religion. And I think that now that he's at that point of his life, I really think God said, hey, you kept moving forward, you found your end, and now you're in the Hall of Fame.
We can't let you go without asking you about the current Jets. And of course, Marty is on the Jets broadcast team that's actually moving from ESPN Radio to Q1043 this year. So that's got to be exciting to join a new radio family. And also, obviously, just like last year, expectations are through the roof with the Jets this year. What are your thoughts on the Jets as they get ready for training camp?
The big thing is, Peter, you know it as well as I do, you got to stay healthy. It's a long season.
That's the game.
Everybody saw what happened last year when Aaron came in, bang, they forgot about the season that they had just played where they didn't win. I think they went 7-10 prior to that. Aaron came in with a whole different attitude. Fans came out to practice. All the suites were being sold out. Throwback jerseys, $1 million sales.
By the way, I am glad those are
You
back.
know?
I'm glad those late 70s, early 80s jerseys
And I
are
think
back.
what Aaron brings to the table is the desire to win. And what he expressed to me when I talked to him the very first time, he said, these guys want to win on Sunday. They got to learn how to win Monday through Saturday. And this is my 45th year of being with the organization. And I've never had a coach, never had a player express it any better than Aaron. And what he's done is he's brought up the younger players and he says, hey, this is what you have to do. And he's a teacher out there. But then again, he's 40 years old. So last year he went down in 4 plays. This year, you know, you got to keep your fingers crossed. Tyron Taylor
And your toes.
is a good backup, but Aaron's got to be out there. And they got an excellent defense. I have a great deal of confidence in Rob Saleh and Joe Douglas, and they made some moves this offseason. Everything looks great on paper. But you know how many games you win on paper? None.
Zero.
So,
On the field.
you know, we're all pulling for him because I think Bob Wischusen and I would both say it makes our life a lot easier when they win.
There would be nothing more than I would love to do at any of the radio jobs that I have is to play the highlight of Bob Wischusen saying, the Jets have just won the Super Bowl.
Right. and
Like,
then
I would love to
fo-
do it myself, but I don't have that job,
Yeah.
so I would want Bob Wischusen to do it.
Yeah, Bob would do it, and I'm sure he would do a great job. And
Yes,
then
absolutely.
after he goes for about 30 seconds, then he'll give me 10, and they'll go, hey, we got to break, we got to break, we got to break. But as long as my partner can get it in there, because he is one of the best announcers, not just
Yes.
for football, but for basketball, and he's outstanding for hockey.
He
And
should be ESPN's lead play-by-play guy
he
for
should.
hockey. He really
And
should.
you know what? I didn't know Bob. This is our 24th year together, and the friendship that we have built and the trust that we have built, it shows, I hope, to all the listeners what we're doing, what we're about, how we prepare, and how we're honest. I think honesty is the best thing. You know, we try to paint the picture. Al Chadwick told me when I asked him, I said, give me some advice about doing radio. He said, pretend you're talking to a blind person. They can't see it. All they can do is hear it. So you got to describe it in a way that they know, okay, the ball's going to be run to the right side of the field. That's your right side of your radio dial. You know, and little things like that where they can identify
good
with
advice.
it. And at the end of the game, I hope that they enjoy our broadcast as much as we enjoy doing it.
and then they have to listen to Buttle afterward.
I tell you what, we can say what we want about Greg, but I tell you what, he's got a much harder job than I do.
Yeah.
You know, he's got
You
to
gotta take the phone call.
he's got to take those phone calls. Ira from Staten Island, he's in
he
the
called
1,
me
2,
on
or 3.
FAN the other day,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ira's a true Jet fan, and there's a lot of them out there. And you just hope that the organization, Woody and Chris Johnson, they want nothing more than to win. And you hope that the organization can pick themselves up, get into the playoffs, hopefully make a nice run, win a Super Bowl, and the fans will be happy, everybody will be happy, and then, you know what, then you got to do it the next year.
Do it.
But right
Thank
now
you.
they're in
We'll
first
take one.
place, too.
We'll take
We'll-
one.
we'll take one,
I saw
Marty.
John
Yeah.
Schmidt's Super Bowl ring earlier, and
Yeah.
I'm like, another one would look nice right next to it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've seen the modern day
Yes.
Super Bowl ring. It's one of those rings where when you put it on, you automatically cough, you know? And so you bring your hand up and everybody sees that big ring.
yeah.
That takes up 3 fingers, but
We can't thank you
I'm
enough.
happy for all those guys.
Thank you so
Great
much
job,
for stopping
Marty.
by.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
guys.
having us.
Appreciate
Always a
it.
pleasure. Marty Lyons, big reason why we're here tonight, the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic. We do have one more guest. One more guest. We're going to bring in the other individual that helped Marty launch the foundation. Kenny Schroy is back there, and we're going to close the show, I think, unless we get some other surprises, but we would love... He's right behind you.
Vinny's
Vinny
coming.
Testaverde. We'll probably close the show with Vinny Testaverde. But we're going to take Kenny Schroy
Kenny
first.
Schroy first.
So, as Ken Schroy, former Jet safety, joins us here, and he was Marty's teammate and helped him launch the Marty Lyons Foundation 42 years ago. Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets over there. Before we talk football, I have to share a story for people who don't know. You might be a little embarrassed by it. So my wife, well, she was not my wife yet, she was my girlfriend, Cheryl. We're at the Bruce Springsteen concert in roughly 2002, 2003. Guests of the Jets with ESPN Radio. And we're sitting in the box at the Bruce Springsteen concert. Sitting next to us in the box is Ken Schroy and his lovely wife, Susan. And we're talking, we're chatting and everything. And Susan looks at Cheryl and me and say, "Are you guys married?" And I said, "No, well, not yet. It's just boyfriend, girlfriend at the time." And Susan goes, "Kenny, can you believe these two are not married? They're so cute together. They're not married yet." And so I said, "Well, we're talking about it." And your wife, true story, I'm telling you a true story, says to me, "When you're ready to buy the ring, you got to go see John Paradiso down in the back." And he's laughing now because he knows where the story is going.
right.
You've got to see John Paradiso down in the Bowery. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, it's a little embarrassing, but all right, whatever. A couple of days later, I'm covering Jets training camp at Hofstra. Into the press room walks Bob Parente, who was a Jets executive at the
Bob
time.
is my good friend.
One of the great executives in all sports history. I understand you're looking for this. And he hands me John Paradiso's business card. Well, the rest, as they say, is history. I bought the ring from John Paradiso, and my wife and I, in about a month or so, are going to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary.
All right.
So I don't think we are sitting at our 20th wedding anniversary without the help of Ken and Susan Schroy. Would you agree with that?
Well, you know, John's been great to me and Marty and a lot of whole other, NFL players. So he is the guy. So you did right.
Yeah, well, we did a good job. So, obviously, another great event for the Marty Lyons Foundation here tonight. For you, you helped Marty launch it 42 years later. Could you have imagined it would turn into what it's turned into?
Absolutely not. I didn't realize that we could be this big, this long, and it's only gotten better. And unfortunately, it's kind of sad too because there's so many sick children out there that we're helping, and it breaks my heart when I meet them, and it's just really sad. But we try to put a smile on their face, and Marty is the best at it. I mean, when he talks to a child, he is unbelievable. So I love the guy. I mean, Marty is so good at doing what he does.
So the story is, I'm sorry, Vinny, but just really quick. So the story is that Marty came to you, like, 'cause he had gone through that difficult week in his life. And as I remember the story, and maybe I'm missing something here, but I believe he was either in the backyard of his house or your house.
No. Actually, we were at an away game.
An away game.
At an away game, and I'm not sure which one it was, but he turned the TV off, and me and him were roommates, so he turned the TV off, and he seriously said to me, I need to talk to you. I said, okay, well, about what? And he says, I'd like to start my own foundation, which I thought, it kind of, surprised me at the time. And I said, okay. Of course, you know the story about Keith and how Marty was so close to Keith. And I knew Keith also and gave platelets like Marty did, and we did whatever we could. And, when he asked me to help him and told me what he wanted to do, and I said, sure. I said, whatever you need, because, Marty's more like my brother. Than a teammate or a friend. He's just that good. I mean, he's just a super person. So I would do anything for him, and he does so much for the kids.
Yeah. So when you originally started, we're going back 42 years. Do you remember when the first call came in and what that conversation went like?
Well, it wasn't the first call that came in. Marty and I used to go visit hospitals all the time.
Oh, okay.
We just, we did that as, I don't know, we just wanted to. And a lot of other players came with us. And, we got to know the kids, and some of them were really bad off. And actually, Marty it was a leukemia party, Christmas party, holiday party that they had. And we went in, and Marty saw this little boy back in the background with his mother, and he was shy, and Marty just went right to him, which was cool. And he met Keith, and he got to know him. He got to know Mom and Dad, and anytime Keith needed anything, he would call. He would call me to go with him. Like, for instance, one day he calls me at night. And he says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm at home doing nothing. And he says, all right, I'll pick you up in 20 minutes. I said, whoa, time out. Where are we going? He says, we're going to the hospital, and Keith needs platelets. I said, okay. So what do they do for platelets? I had no idea how do you take platelets out of yourself. So, me and him were laying in beds next to each other, and one line was in one arm, drawing blood, and the other one was putting it back in. And we sat there for 2 hours, and we got it done. And Marty's thinking was that we're football players, we're strong, maybe our platelets were stronger than anybody else's. I mean, that was his thinking.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let's do it.
Super platelets you had.
Yeah, well, that's what, that's what he was hoping.
Yeah, that's great.
And unfortunately it wasn't that way, but we tried,
Yeah.
and I thought it was cool.
It's more than cool, and I have to tell you, and I told Marty the same thing. When you're given a platform and an opportunity to help other people, and you do so much more. It's not just, writing a check, or it's not giving a check. I mean, you're giving platelets to start this. And, just the amount of work and the amount of effort. And I know you guys have a great, it's no coincidence that great people have great people around them, right? So yes, Marty's a great guy, and what you're doing is fantastic and spectacular. And just from Peter and I, we want to commend you for all that you do
thank
and,
you. Thank
and
you.
for
Believe
being
me.
involved in this organization. It's really just so
Being
commendable.
involved is easy. That was an easy thing for me. I love children. I love kids. I hate seeing suffering, and so it was an easy thing for me to do. But although what isn't easy for me is going to funerals of children that we've met and known, and it just bothers me. It's just not fair. And so we try to put a smile on their face, and do the best we can. A trip, whatever they want, and and we hope for the best.
It's and it's hard to put into words how special this foundation is. It's I've talked about it before. My family and I, we're all four of us are volunteers. In fact, and you know this, Kenny, my younger son Jared, last year was his bar mitzvah, and he did a bar mitzvah project. And I said to him, my wife and I said to him, what do you want to do? Because 4 years before that, Bradley did his bar mitzvah project with the Jam Cancer in the Can Foundation, which is Anders Lee is the captain of the Islanders. So he did that. I said, Jared, what do you want to do? And we had already been volunteering, right? And he said, I want to do something for the Marty Lyons Foundation. So we did a flag football event at a park right next to our house. Kenny Zor came, set up the tent, and we had all of Jared's friends participated. And
That's cool.
We had
That's great.
teams, local teams, all donated items for charity for a raffle. And I don't remember exactly what the final number was, but it was in the thousands. And that's what this foundation is all about. It's not just who you are and how much money you have, but anybody can help out. Whether it's $1, $5, $100, $1,000, that's the great thing. And a 12 or 13-year-old kid can roll up his sleeves and help out.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, I mean, we don't turn anybody away. I mean, let's face it. There's too many children out there that are suffering, and fighting for their lives. And I told Marty, I said, whatever you want, just call me anytime. I mean, he's like my brother. He's probably closer to me than my brother. So it's just that kind of relationship, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for the Marty Lyons Foundation.
What do we think about the 2024 Jets?
I'm
sorry, I didn't mean to throw a curveball.
Boy,
at
you
you
did
there.
this. That was heck of a curveball.
We had to get there eventually.
I'm watching what they're doing, and they're building supposedly an offensive line with a bunch of old guys, and that worries me because I was an old guy at one time playing, and let's hope it all works out. Because I think the Jet fans deserve it.
Yes, we do.
Let's just hope it happens this year.
I want to close with this, and this is just me being a selfish Jets fan that has gone through a great deal of disappointment. I fell in love with the Jets and football because of you guys in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, that was my team growing up.
Yeah.
But I'm disappointed that I look back at my book of Jets cards, because I collect a lot of cards, and so do my kids now, and there's only one Ken Schroy card that was made by Topps.
That's
and
true.
You're not even on the card by yourself.
No.
You're with three other
No,
Jet leaders.
that's
What was Topps doing that they didn't make another Ken Schroy card?
Back then, that's what they did. They didn't give everybody a card. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
And only certain ones. And I happened to have 8 interceptions one year, and they put me on with a little card,
With three other guys, Jets
which
leaders.
was okay. At least I was on a card.
There you go.
I want to ask, like Topps or whoever, or the Jets, you can make your own cards, but we need like a throwback set of Jets cards, and we need another Ken Schroy by himself with his career statistics on it. I don't think that's a lot to
Well,
ask.
you know what? It doesn't matter to me. I mean, and it didn't matter to me back then either. I was so happy to be where I was and playing on a defense that was absolutely close and having a great time and the sack exchange. And it was just a super time to be playing. And it's a period in my life that I'll never forget. And it was the best time And, we're carrying on now with the Marty Lyons Foundation. You can see all the athletes that come and support us. So it's good to see old friends, guys I played against,
Yeah.
and they're still supporting the Marty Lyons Foundation.
And I'm still angry at Don Shula for not covering the field the week of the AFC Championship game.
Me too. Me too.
Kenny, my friend, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Thank you to you and Susan for the matrimonial assistance almost 20 years ago.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
you got it, buddy. Thanks, guys.
And the
Ken
jeweler.
Troy, the former jet safety and a big part of the Marty Lyons Foundation. Rumor has it we were going to talk to Vinny Testaverde, too.
Yes,
So
I don't
I
see
think
him.
we're going to give this a few more minutes and see if Vinny is going to come over. I know we've got a team of hundreds here that have been working to get us guests, like literally everybody at the Marty Lyons Foundation.
Special shout out to Kiva.
Yes, absolutely.
Big shout out to Kiva, who's been helping us out.
Yeah, everybody. A cast of thousands.
Yes,
So
thousands.
we're gonna. Chris, you're not in any kind of hurry, right? Are you? Okay. We're gonna keep it going a few more minutes. I'm hungry. I'm starving, but because I haven't eaten much since.
Peter.
Well, I have not eaten much.
You're
since
coming
that.
off a legend visit.
I
yesterday.
understand that, but I've been good today. For those who didn't hear, my family and I went to the Yankee game sitting in legend seats, and I joked on our regular show. Bradley's got a picture. Bring. You can come on camera for a second. No, he doesn't want to. No, but this was not a picture that I. So this is a picture. Let me get a zoom in. This was Bradley's plate of food last night at the Yankees game. And I joked this morning on our regular show, which is weekdays at 9 o'clock on Facebook, YouTube, and 20 other outlets, including LI News Radio. I slipped into a food coma last night. And I don't think I came out of it until maybe right around lunchtime today.
Did you have lunch?
I did have lunch.
You did have lunch, okay.
I did have lunch.
What'd you have for
I had a
lunch?
slice of pizza.
Okay.
'Cause I
One
can't-
slice?
I had 2 slices.
I love
But
it.
I bypassed the pizza last night at the Yankee game to make sure that that I was okay to have pizza for lunch today.
There you go. There you go. So you
So-
got your pizza in.
I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. It'll be our last break of the show.
Yeah, and then we'll just do a wrap.
And
if
we'll
we have
wait.
to.
Yes, we'll do a wrap. We're waiting for Vinny Testaverde. Noah Burrows is here, a former Jet and a former New York Dragon as well. We might even have him sit down for a few minutes.
Yes.
But let's take a break for a few moments, and we're going to come back for 3 minutes, and we're going to come back with our final segment from the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic. It's coming right back right after this.
then we'll do the outro and videos and get here. Right?
Yep, going live on the air on 3.
Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets back for our final segment of Sports Bash Spotlight. We are live at the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic here at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club. We've talked to so many people: Marty Lyons, Kenny Schroy, Greg Buttle, John Schmidt from the Super Bowl III team stopped by. And stay tuned to our social media platforms over the next couple of days, because we'll repost some clips of interviews. We'll repost interviews individually over the next few days. So stay tuned. We had such a blast here, and great to see an old friend of mine who I covered when he played for the Jets, but more importantly for me, during my 8 years as the radio announcer for the New York Dragons. Noah Burrows was with the Dragons for a short time, and it's good to see you, my friend.
Likewise, good to see you.
Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets, and what brings you to, I know brings everybody here, it's a very important cause, but how special is it for you to be a part of this event here today?
Well, I think for me, probably it means more because giving back became my life. Once I retired from playing football, I think that was my calling more than I knew. So I got into education. I was a teacher for 20 years, but throughout that time, I was also coaching at the collegiate level and the high school level, and I've seen a lot of the kids that I coached become very successful. To name one, Rasul Douglas, who played with the Philadelphia Eagles. They won the Super Bowl in his rookie year. So I like to take, solace in knowing that some of the kids that I coach, they've done better than I did. And also, it brings you back to what you did when you were a player as giving back. And it became my life. And so any way I can give back, and Marty, he hosts this event every year. It's a fabulous event. I'm always here to lend my hand to help him help others, and I think that's what we do. We have a great brotherhood. We all try to help each other whenever we can.
Right. So when you talk about your career, it sounds like you had football. So when you were teaching, you were a high school coach, college coach?
I started in high school, but then I moved on to the collegiate level. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So,
And then you have a new career now, right?
Yes.
So you segued into a new career. How does that all transpire? How does that happen?
well, like I said, I think football, we all had our own foundations. We all had our organizations we worked with, and we always gave back to the community that we played in. So for me, even when I left New York, I went down to Jacksonville, and the Jaguars were very instrumental in being involved in the community. And I began to love it, like really love it, to a point where I said, hey, I got to create my own foundation. So I created my own foundation, and I found different ways to help people in areas where they needed help. So
Tell us about your foundation.
my foundation is called Time Foundation, and it's Time Foundation means if you give time, the children that you serve or the community that you serve will always go further. And so for me, with time, you see a vested interest in improvement.
And you now have a career in politics. You never see these things coming, right? I mean, I watched this guy play football, and he was a really, really good football player. Not that it's a surprise that a football player can get into politics, but sometimes you don't see these things coming. Did you see that down the road? Was it something you thought about, or did it just happen as a result of the other things that you were doing?
To be honest, I have to say the seed was planted early on. When I was a kid, my dad marched with the SCLC. He was a part of Martin Luther King's SCLC. So as a kid, he always told us these stories of things that he had done, specific assignments that he had from Martin Luther King and Hosea Williams and even Andrew Young. He would tell me these stories that were so magical. And just the fact that he had done work with someone like Martin Luther King and Andrew Young, it was mind-boggling. So he had planted the seed. He didn't go into politics as I did as a career, but helping people and improving people's lives, he planted that seed in my brain early.
So you're an assemblyman here in Nassau County, and so what towns do you represent?
Well, let's not pull the horse before the carriage. So November is the general election.
So you're running for assemblyman.
Yeah, so I just won the primary, which in my district, the Democratic primary usually is your race.
Right.
Because it's a Democratic district. So it's like a foregone conclusion that I will be the next assemblyman in November. But it still means I have to put a lot of work in. And so, I'm here to do all the hard work that I need to do to make sure that I earn that seat.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. I have to tell you, so the 8 years, I've told you this story before, and that's where we got to know each other at the Dragons in arena football. And the 8 years I spent, working for the Dragons was the best job. With all due respect to some of the other great jobs that I've had in my career, that was a wonderful time being part of the Dragons, and the Arena Football League is back, and hopefully they can put a team on Long Island again. And maybe if you can get in there as the assemblyman, we can try to work together to bring the Dragons back to Nassau Coliseum. What do you think about that?
That sounds great. Hey, but there's so many things going on with the Coliseum.
I'm just trying to be selfish. That's what I'm saying. Noah, always good to see you.
Thank you. Always good to
Thanks
see
a
you.
lot.
All right.
Noah Burrows, vote for him.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and former Jet and a former New York Dragon. And you think about a way to close the show. How about this?
Talk
way to
about a
close-
crescendo.
How about this way to close the show? Great Long Island athlete and a great NFL quarterback, and had some great years with the New York Jets. I had a chance to cover a few of those years working for ESPN Radio. I'm sure he remembers that. Remember, I asked good questions, didn't try to cause any trouble like some of the other writers. Vinny Testaverde, good to see you.
Hey guys, how we doing?
It's Peter Schwartz and Vinny Tickets with Vinny Testaverde. So the Marty Lyons Foundation has this golf outing every year. How important is it for you? How special is it to be asked by Marty to come back?
Yeah,
and
it's
play?
it's very special. Obviously, Marty has done some great works over the years for a very long time. I think he's in the 45th year, maybe.
Yeah, 42nd.
42nd. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew it's a long time.
Right there.
Yeah, so Marty's been great for the community, helping the children, doing great things, and I'm just glad to be part of it. I'm glad he asked me to come out and play a little golf. Had a great day today, and it's for a good cause, and it's great to give back.
I want to go back to your first year with the Jets, 1998. So the Jets are coming off the first year under Bill Parcells, and the thought was that Glenn Foley is going to be the starting quarterback to start the season. They bring you in, and you get a couple of games in, you get inserted as the starting quarterback, and you go on that run to the AFC Championship game. And it's strange to see, the Jets in their franchise history, there haven't been that many special seasons. That was one of them for you, coming to a new team in your hometown, basically, right in your backyard. What was that year like for you, leading the Jets to the championship
Yeah,
game?
obviously it was a great year, exciting year, but just thinking back then when I first came into town, I was a little nervous because when you play in front of your family and friends, it could be a lot of distractions, or who wants tickets, who wants to go out to dinner, who's tugging at you here and there. And so I told them, I said, listen, I'm coming here to work, and then we can have fun and do all the family stuff later.
Yeah.
And they were okay with that, which was good, made it easier for me. And then, of course, I got a chance to get on the field and play, and things went very well. And, of course, made it to the AFC Championship game, which was very exciting, but at the end of the year, it turned out to be just as disappointing because you want to win it all.
Yeah, so when you talk about your career, is there any one season that you felt was your marquee season, or when you were playing at the peak of your game? When I went to Cleveland, Bill Belichick was there. He brought me there. I had a chance to play there. We went to the playoffs. That was my first time experiencing the playoffs, which was great. And then from there, we all moved to Baltimore. And I had a really good season in Baltimore with the Ravens, and I felt like I was at the top of my game. And then from there, Belichick was the defensive coordinator with the Jets, was very influential in bringing me here to New York, and Parcells obviously agreed with it, which I'm happy for. I only wish I could have played for Parcells longer because he was one of my favorites coaches of all time, and he was a great coach.
What made him so special? Because you hear a lot of the
a lot of people
Giants
have to
players.
say that, right?
Yeah, right.
So he was tough, and we all see him on TV yelling at the players, and but really he's about getting the most out of the players. So what you don't see in practice is the communication he has with all of his players. Some guys he's yelling at to get the most out of them. Some guys he's patting on the back. He just knows his players. He knows their personalities, and he just brings the best out of you, and I love that about him.
He had so many great moments in a Jet uniform. I have to selfishly talk about one that maybe doesn't get a lot of notoriety, but in 2005, Chad Pennington and Jay Fiedler both get hurt in the same game. And that coming week, my wife, Cheryl, who was pregnant with that guy right over there, Bradley, and we go to the Jet game against the Buccaneers. Well, who comes off his couch and comes back to the Jets? October, it was Columbus Day weekend, is this guy, Vinny Testaverde, and you come back, and the Jets beat the Buccaneers that day.
Yeah, we did.
And I have to
Yeah.
tell you something. Giant Stadium, for the most part, never really felt like home for the Jets. There were some times during '98, the playoff game against Jacksonville. But that day, the roar of the crowd when you jogged onto the field
Yeah.
was so awesome to hear. And I '98 was great, and there was, the playoff year, 2001 as well. But how cool was it for you to hear the ovation?
Yeah, well,
from
you
the
give me,
fans
I'm
that
getting
day?
goosebumps right now thinking about it because
That's
it
my
was pretty
job.
cool.
Yeah. That's my job.
Because it's like week 5 or whatever it was, and I'm,
Yeah.
basically in my mind, I'm retired, I'm done. And then
Vinny
I'm
Testaverde off the couch.
I'm actually watching the game, and I see Chad go down, and then a little bit later, Jay Fiedler goes down, and I'm thinking, shoot, man, I'm going to give Herm a call. So
I
call
could do
Herm.
this.
Herm said he could still spin it. That first
Yeah.
practice you came back, he could still spin it, right?
So I call Herm, and I'm like, Herm, I'm like 20 minutes away. I can be there in 20 minutes if you need.
Halftime.
He's like, come on over. This is the next day.
Not much
right?
traffic.
So it just turned out that worked out that I was very close. I knew the system and I knew the players, so it made it easier transition for not just me but for the team in general. But we had some injuries that year. I think our starting center went down, Kevin Mawai, and had a couple other key injuries, and it just kind of devastated us for that year.
Do you still follow the Jets closely, and what do you think of what they've been doing here the last couple of years as they get ready for 2024?
Yeah, I wouldn't say closely like you guys do, but I'm watching. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
watching. I live down in Florida, so
Yeah.
but I'm watching the moves. I was up here about 4 games last year. I got to see quite a few games. Obviously, disappointing opening day, but with Aaron getting hurt. But we're all hoping that he's healed up and ready to go. I know we've made some improvements, and we're looking forward to a great year.
People make the big deal that he's 40 years old, and it's clear in training camp last year and into the preseason, he still showed that he can play. Now, granted, the Achilles injury happened, and that's obviously something something about from 1999. What was the most difficult thing it took for you to get back, and what is Aaron Rodgers facing coming back?
Well, for me, I was hesitant, just trying to go 100%, pushing off of the foot, stepping up, and with what the quarterback has to do for his job, and just having the confidence that it was healthy. And then once you go full speed and you get that confidence, then everything's back to normal. I think the procedure, the rehab has changed a little bit since my injury.
Kind of miraculous, right?
Yeah. It seems like Aaron's way ahead of where I was at this stage, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at 100%. I think he sounds pretty confident.
Did you know right away when you took the step that it was Achilles?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was just the way he grabbed at it and kind of walked off the field.
I mean,
a
for
little bit.
you in '99.
Oh, for me, yeah.
Did you know right away what it was?
Well, so in an instant, I thought, wow, I just heard like a popping sound, and I thought, oh, maybe somebody fell behind me. And you can see me on the tape, like I watched it the next day, turning around to look to see who fell behind me. I thought it was the referee. And by the time my head got to my shoulder, I knew it was my Achilles. And I went down. I was done.
Unbelievable.
Very, very
So-
disappointing year. But, getting back to Aaron, I think he's going to bounce back and have a great year.
At what point did you feel that, the quarterback position, you have to move around a lot of cutting, a lot of moving.
Yeah.
At what point, how long did it take you before you could make those moves that you were making before the injury with confidence?
Yeah, well, certainly way before the season started. Sometime during the off-season program when you're out with the guys running, doing the drills. But then you get into preseason, now you really have to go 100%. And once that first couple of snaps in the first preseason game took place, I was totally confident that we were going to be off and running.
Last thing from me, I don't know if Vinny remembers this, but I lived in Oyster Bay when he was playing for the Jets. So the Jets had an off day during the week. It must have been like a Tuesday or something like that. And I'm having breakfast at Bagel Boss in Oyster Bay. Right? You know where it is, right?
Yeah, I
So
do.
so I'm sitting down and I'm reading Newsday, right? And I'm flipping through the pages and I'm reading a Jet story. It's an off-day Jet story. And you're sitting there and you think like somebody's looking over your shoulder,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like somebody's like looking over my shoulder, and I look up and it's him. And I happened to be reading a Jet story. He goes, anything good in there today?
Well, I was looking. You took my bagel. That's what I was looking at. I'm just kidding. No, I love Bagel Boss. That was one of my
That
favorite
was great.
spots.
That was awesome. Vinny, always great to see
Hey,
you.
good to
Thank
be
you
with
so
you
much
guys.
for
Good to
stopping
see you.
by. Vinny Testaverde, former Jets quarterback and former NFL quarterback in general, long career, storied career in the National Football League. Well, that is one heck of a way to put, to dot the I and cross the T on this special edition of Sports Bash Spotlight. So
Put the cherry on the ice cream
I
sundae
feel
down.
like we said thank you to a lot of people like an hour ago. So I'm going to thank everybody again. I want to thank Chris Gannon for being patient with us and doing a great job with this setup. Everybody at the Marty Lyons Foundation, Ken Zor. I don't want to miss names, but obviously he's been our point person on this project today. So I don't want to forget a name. So everybody at the Marty Lyons Foundation, especially Marty Lyons, Kenny Zor, everybody, for having us here today and welcoming us and providing us with this great location and bringing over all the great guests.
Yeah, great day, great cause, and just honored to be here with you, Peter, and, a great list of people. More important than the great list of people and what they've accomplished in their life is the fact that they never lose sight of who they are and what their priorities are. And every single one of them have said that today. So thank you to them as well.
I got to tell you something. Like, I'm a kid in the candy store. When it comes to the Jets and talking to these people, I'm sorry if it was hard to wipe the smile off my face here. So thanks to everybody. Thanks for all the guests for stopping by. And thanks for all of you for watching, not just live, but I'm sure a lot of people will pick up some of the interviews on social media, on our YouTube page. Stay tuned, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere for clips and full interviews from everybody that we talked to here tonight. Sports Bash sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by the Falcone Law Firm, the Marty Lyons Foundation, of course, and Collaborate Studios. For Vinny Tickets, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening, and we'll catch you again for our regular show tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on a free Ticket Tuesday on Sports Bash.